Hey everyone, we are doing this. I tried to control myself and not take forever in preparing this palette. So this is my Italy palette. Hopefully I can go to Italy. And I'm going to swatch it now for you, and then I'm going to laminate this piece of watercolor paper. I just tore it actually out of a sketchbook and put it in the palette for easier access. So what I decided to do, I removed a few of the paints that I had in the wells around, and I decided to fill them with some replacements. And even though the order is not perfect because I couldn't, just take out stuff, if I could rearrange it, I would probably do, the yellow, pink, and then blue, and then turquoises. But I couldn't since it was mostly occupied. So I decided, the thing is with a palette that you want it to be versatile on one hand, but you also want to have pretty colors. And for me, I did try to include here some earth tones and things that I thought would work for Tuscany, but I also think that I just want to kind of find my own color palette, and for Italy and not necessarily copy what I see. But I do think I can probably use a lot of the colors to inspire some new color schemes. So yeah, and I did fill, I think my palette has never been so full with so much paint. Okay, this pen is really resisting my white paint. So let's get to the colors. I don't want this video to be forever, like super long, but yeah, so let's start from the top. We have Naples Yellow. I have the Schmincke version here. We have Buff Titanium. I had here the Turner's Yellow, and I decided it was a bit redundant for me. And I really like Buff Titanium, and I think it's a great mixing color, especially for a place like Italy, in my mind. So I decided to fill the well. If I could switch these, I would, but I can't. Here I have Nickle Azo Yellow, which is kind of a staple. It's my happy yellow. I think it is a bit earthy, has some earthiness to it, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I really like it. I really like that it's pushy, and I'm going to stay with it. Here I have white, which I love. I have the Rembrandt one. Next to it, I decided to include, this was kind of a last minute addition, the quinacridone gold from the Daniel Smith Ultimate Mixing Set. And it's this color here. And I think it's going to be a useful color to have. And now what I'm swatching is Goethite, which is also from the Daniel Smith mixing set. And again, I think it will be a really great color here. It's almost like, it reminds me of kind of sand or something. And it's not as, it's kind of more muted than the other colors that I have in that box, I would say. This here is Gray Titanium from Daniel Smith, and I really like it. And I think, it's a little bit similar to Buff Titanium, but I think it's different enough that I want to include it now. I don't know if I'll carry it to the autumn palette, but for now I'm happy with it. Now I swatched Lunar Earth which is a Daniel Smith color and I really enjoy it. This is a new paint to me. It's a Lukas Naples Yellow Reddish, I want to say, and I just really like the tone of it. And I also did some mixes that I really loved. Where are you? Like here with Lunar Blue. I thought that was really pretty. So yeah, it's just a pretty tone. I'm not like, I haven't had it long enough, but I felt like it would be a good opportunity to play with it. Okay, so the next color is a color that was very generously sent to me by Aliona. Thank you, Aliona. And I decided it would be a good addition to this palette. This is by Daniel Smith, and it's the Rhodonite Genuine. And you can see it's like a very, I would say, almost like a soft terracotta color. I think it's really pretty and it has a nice granulation. Now a color that I'm just like trying to familiarize myself with, and I thought maybe this trip would be a good opportunity. This is Rembrandt's Transparent Oxide Red, and it's going to fill that spot of burnt sienna, so quite intense, and we'll see if I use it. What's next? This is the Brilliant Yellow. I can't pronounce this name. It's Jaune, and yeah, I am aware that these are quite similar, but I think for me, when it comes to certain areas of the color wheel, I'm willing to have very similar colors in my palette just because I'm so particular with certain tones and I just want to have that variety. Okay, this is probably one of my favorite neutrals in this palette. This is the Hematite Burnt Scarlet Genuine. It's those 4 words in whichever order by Daniel Smith, and yeah, most of the colors here, or a lot of them, let's say it like that, you should have been able to see in my series, my monthly, my daily sketching series, so you can see more of them there. But look at this beautiful granulation. So I decided actually to include a few kind of handmade custom colors. This one, before we get into it, this one is Shinhan Pass, which is their hybrid colors. This is Shell Pink. If you want this color, if you want shell pink, you know, you can find it in the Shinhan watercolor range, and you can find it also in Holbein. But I think the Pass, if I'm not mistaken, is Pass, not Pass. I think it's significantly cheaper and the quality is really great. Even though it's like a hybrid paint, it does dry out in the pan, but it doesn't really crumble and fall like some gouache paints. So I think if you're on a budget, I don't think you're missing out on anything by buying the Shinhan Pass as opposed to like Holbein. So this is kind of a custom color, and I really decided that it's time to use these in my palette, even if sometimes it's annoying, I know, to put on YouTube something that you can't get. I think you can't get that, but if you got the little Rainbow Moon set that came with the palette, with the monthly kit that I was like a co-designer of, that we collaborated on that. This is one of the colors in that set, and I think it's gorgeous. The camera doesn't really do it justice. It's kind of this neon, it's like the shell pink but neon. I don't know, it's just beautiful. And then the next one is also a little Rainbow Moon color that is just beautiful. Again, fluorescent, somewhere between a red and a pink. It's not, I think it's much prettier than something like opera pink. And I don't know, I think these will help me make unique color palettes and unique images of Italy. So that's why I decided to include them. These are colors that I really, really love, and I think they actually work so well with like the earth tones that I think it'll be really fun to include them. Next is Bright Red. This is also a Shinhan Pass color. I don't know if they have it in stock, but it's a beautiful, it's actually quite a luminous fluorescent color, but next to the Little Rainbow Moon one, which I'm sorry, I don't remember from which kit it is, but it doesn't look as intense next to it. Okay, next I decided, this was a last minute addition, and I just decided, okay, maybe I should try to add something for versatility. I don't know, I thought, okay, maybe, you know, I'm taking like 50 colors or something. Maybe you should have a red. So this is from the Daniel Smith Ultimate Mixing Set. I don't remember the name. I will have all of the colors listed below, so check that out. Next is a color that I've had for years and haven't used. This is Brilliant Pink by Holbein. And I decided to take it, I think it will be fun for mixes. And also it's just like a really beautiful shade. You can see it's a pastel color, and this is Shell Pink, and the Brilliant Pink is just a little less of a peachy color. It's kind of just a pastel pink. It's really the way you see it in the palette. And I love pinks, and I thought it would be fun to include it and see what I can make with it. The next one is again from, this was one of the colors that I asked Little Rainbow Moon to create, and it's the color of my dreams. It's, well, you'll see it next to Cobalt Violet at some point, but it's just gorgeous, gorgeous. You can see kind of a slightly purplish soft pink. I love it. This one, the next one, I think it's a Rachel Beth color that I've had in my palette for, like I had in my stash for a long time, and I always loved, and for some reason didn't really include it in my palettes, and I think it will be perfect for this trip. To me, it's almost like a purpley, like a muted purpley version of Potter's Pink, and I just really, really love the tone of it. So much so that I had Rose of Ultramarine in my palette and I removed it. I thought I really preferred this kind of muted violet. I have so many pinks and I have a few blues. If I want to mix a more clear violet like Rose of Ultramarine, I can do that without a problem. But this kind of color, I think it would be harder to mix. So I decided to include that. I really want to create a very unique palette. And sometimes for that, you know, you need special colors that not every brand makes. And while I am all for mixing colors, and I hope to do a lot of mixing and discover what this palette can do for me, I also think that it's great to have really, really specific custom colors that speak to you. So next is a color that I really, really love, and I think it's like one of my favorite earth tones, I think. Kind of reminds me of like English red. This is Lunar Red Rock, and it's beautiful. It's a Daniel Smith color, and it's just beautiful. So next we have the Potter's Pink by Schmincke, and you can see that these two are quite similar. And I didn't feel strongly enough about any other additional color, but probably if I did add another color, I would bump one of these two. They are pretty similar, maybe not so much in the pan, but definitely on paper. So yeah, let's move on to here. Okay, so this is a color that I'm really hoping to explore. This is Lunar Blue, which I love this color and just haven't had the chance to use it. And I decided now is the time. I really wanted to have a selection of granulating colors, because especially when you do like a little sketch, if you have that granulation, it adds so much interest and sometimes even drama to your scene that I wanted to include it. Okay, this is a new color to me, but I thought it would be fun to have it. This is by Van Gogh and it's called Dusk Yellow. It's basically a yellow mixed with a granulating black, but I really like the look of it and I thought it would be fun to have it. Next we have Olive Green by Daniel Smith. This is new to me and I swatched it already in like a swatching video. I really love it, and I usually like to have some green gold in my palette. Oh, it likes to push the Van Gogh color around. I usually like to have some green gold in my palette, but with this one I think it's a lot more interesting and I didn't feel the need to have a green gold. Next I decided to keep this emerald green from Sennelier. I thought it could be an interesting take on a green in a landscape or floral piece or something. And then next to it is actually a really old half pan that I have of Fuchsite Genuine or Fuchsite by Daniel Smith. And this is always good to know that even though this is really old, it re-wets really well. So you can see that these two are similar, and the reason the Sennelier one is a little bit greener. The Fuchsite has a shimmer to it. This is Daniel Smith Blue, Cerulean Blue Chromium from the Ultimate Mixing Set. This is Sennelier Violet Blue. It's a granulating blue-violet. I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but I just don't want to get into the darks if I can avoid it for now. This is Undersea Green, and I really enjoy this green. Oops. And then next to it, I have Zoisite, which I'm obsessed with. Really love this color. So you can see next to the other greens, it's a lot more like cooler and more muted, and it has a beautiful granulation. And then here I have another generous gift from Eva. Thank you, Eva. And this is Bloodstone Genuine, and this is by Daniel Smith, like Zoisite, and you can see it's also super granulating, and it's basically a black, I would say, or a very close to black. I don't know, does it have a bit of violet in it? You can see compared to this one, it looks more, to me it looks a bit more violet, but it's so muted that it's really hard to tell. And then next to it I have my obsession. This is Dusk Pink by Rembrandt. So it's just a pink mixed with a granulating black. So definitely a convenience color, you don't need to have it. Okay, let's do now the outside. So here I have, this is a carry-on from the previous palette, and I've had this there since I set up this palette. This is Bright Rose by Holbein. Super intense, kind of very luminous, almost purpley pink. Love it. This is a new edition. I had here Opera Pink and I decided to take it out. I found myself, if I really wanted that pop of fluorescence, I found myself going for the bright red more often, or just not enough to include it in this palette. So I decided to add Rhodonite, can't remember the exact name, by Daniel Smith. So it's just a bit more of an earthy pink. I thought I could try it. Next to it, I have a very gooey, this is my only M-gram color in my palette. I don't recommend to travel with these, but in the case of these with M-gram, but these wells are so deep that even if it stays sticky, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't like stick to the top of the palette or anything like that, just because it's so deep. And I already had some in this well, and I decided to stay with it. It has a beautiful granulation. I love the tone of it. And yeah, I don't mind having like 6 violets in my palette. Next is Quinacridone Pink. Yes, I would change here the order if I could. This is the Daniel Smith version, and I love it. It's probably like the perfect primary pink. Next to it, I have to clean it a bit. I have the Rembrandt Cobalt Violet, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful cobalt. It is a bit sticky, much better than the core tube that I got. I think with these, if you're scared to get a dud, then get the pan. I don't know if Rembrandt do full pans, but yeah, just get the pan, and then the formula will probably be better. This is another, here I had, what did I have here? I had Perline Green, and I switched it for Lavender. I really tried to look at the colors, not that I necessarily need to make a most versatile palette, but the colors that I just go through the fastest. I figured those would be, you know, it would make sense to put them in these wells. And Lavender seemed to be one of those. So this here is the Daniel Smith version, but there are other brands that do this color very, very well. This is, I think I used the Daniel Smith. Yeah, this is Cobalt Teal Light. My precious. I need this color in every palette. It's pretty impossible to mix it. And you can see this is the Cobalt Turquoise, and then this is a teal. It's a lot more vibrant and also has beautiful granulation. Next, what did I kick out of this? Oh, here I had the Helio Turquoise from Schmincke. I kicked that one out. I don't need those crazy intense turquoises. I don't use them. And here I had Verditer Blue, which the one I had was Cobalt Blue with white, and I decided to switch it for Cascade Green, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous green color with some turquoise to it. And I just decided to have Cobalt Blue. I didn't use it enough to justify it, and I decided I'm going to just add the Cobalt Blue, and then I have white here, so if I really wanted to lighten it or whiten it, I can do that. The Cobalt that I have here is by Lukas. And I added so much paint. This palette never had so much paint in it. My French Ultramarine is by Rembrandt, and it's a beautiful French Ultramarine. I don't really care if the colors are kind of a little bit flowing into one another, especially not with these two that I know so well. I just want to have a good representation of the palette. So, last 3. Let's see if you can recognize this one. It's making a comeback. This color was in my palette, was removed, and now it's back. So this is Moonglow, and I'm glad to have it back. It's back. It's such a beautiful color. Here I have Lunar Black, which really, if you have this, then you can do so many really interesting darks. So I think I finished my little tube with this refill, and I'll pick up another one soon. And then here I had a little bit of indigo, and it's still a bit under it because I'm not so particular with this particular shade. But I filled it with Mayan, Daniel Smith Mayan Dark Blue, which is also kind of this pretty inky dark blue. I don't know, I wanted to try it. I have kind of a purpley dark, I have a pinky dark, I have a greenish dark, I have the black here, and I have this, which I don't know, I guess it could be like almost a cool gray. And so I decided I'll just keep some sort of dark blue here. And that's it. This is my Italy palette. I'm sure that there are other colors that I could include. Some of the ones that I didn't include that I almost did was the, what's it called, the maroon, not the naphthalite, but the other one that I recently got. Perline, was it? Perline Maroon, I almost included that one, but I decided I'm going to explore all of those colors in autumn. I'm going to do, again, set up a palette, and I'm really going to focus on all of the super intense oranges and maroon colors and red colors in my palette. So for now, I really wanted to include, most of these are my favorite colors, and then add some earth tones to hopefully create something that will help me capture Italy in colors that work for Italy, but also for me. And yeah, so that's it. I'm going to laminate it. So it's permanent and can't be changed. It's laminated, said Isabella Rossellini. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you cringed that I don't have here, you know, a lot of the classical earth tones, that's how I roll. No risk, no fun. I'll see you in another video soon. Bye bye.